known him there. So look, I'm Martin Elliott. So I'm Director of Inside Sales in EMEA for Veritas. And actually for a good few years I actually used to do these events because I used to manage the channel on CMS for my first few years in the company. So what we want to do is, conscious that getting close to lunchtime, a lot of great detail in those presentations. Want to just take you on a little bit of a journey in terms of who we are and where we are and what's in it for you in terms of how we're relevant. This is not a technical presentation. There's going to be there's quite a few people here will be here in the afternoon, and basically we'll take care of all that. So we just really want to keep this kind of interesting. I think a lot of you, but quite a few of you won't know the detail on this. But we did separate from Symantec. That decision was made by the board about a year and a half ago. Tim and I spent many a days, not nights, in meeting rooms and hotel conference rooms in the UK, working out what their organisation is going to look like, what ours is going to look like. Messy work, not without problems. Pretty much like separating conjoined twins. But what have we got right now is Symantec has their business to run, and Veritas is a privately owned by Carlyle, $8 billion sort of startup organisation. Pretty much, if you like, and it's pretty much what it was before it was acquired about 12 years ago. So I think a lot of people know Veritas. What's really funny about it is that we spent quite a lot of money with consulting firms and marketing firms to work out a brand and an identity, and they came with Veritas, which we already had for some time. So it's kind of a bit like spending a lot of money to take you have the watch taken off your wrist to tell you the time. But it's we're through it now. We're I don't see this as thing we're celebrating that we're separated from Symantec. It's actually a celebration. Is look, the board, the shareholders made a decision to separate the two companies. That's a good thing for Symantec. It's a good thing for Veritas. It's a good thing for stakeholders. It's a good thing for the business. The reasons why we're doing it, the reasons why it's done to give clarity and focus in terms of what we're doing in expanding markets. And Tim and Gail and Eddie and myself would know is it's very difficult to sell multiple portfolios in two different businesses, I suppose. So I think the reality, the dream just did not live through. And that is what it is, I think. So it got to a point as a year and a half of separating companies. It had an impact on our partners, an impact on our customers. I think what we're celebrating is the fact that the work is done. We're now independent companies, and it's really more the point around that. So we're making progress. In terms of Veritas, instead, I'm not going to go through products. I think principally speaking, we're in the business of information management as opposed to data management. Okay, so information sits within data. Data is stuff that sits on servers and things. But if you break that down we're in three principal areas: backup and recovery, information intelligence and insight, and information governance. And I'll take it in terms of why it's really important and relevant, particularly to our customers and our partners who choose to partner with us for those benefits. Our addressable market globally is $24 billion. The latest information tells us that it's $4 billion in EMEA. And for the first time that I've been a part of this company, we've managed to get information that looks like an Italian flag. It probably is, but the monitor probably doesn't help it. But we see the Irish market as being 46 million addressable in the coming years. So what's the source of that? We subscribe to Gartners and Forresters, and they give us this information. How do they work it out? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It could be 100 million. It could be 200 million. But I think last year, exit plus growth is never enough. I learned that a long time ago. You set the bar here, you'll aim for there. If you set it really, you have a good chance of getting higher. So we see the addressable as 46 million. That is official external information that we're using. And you'll see why that's really relevant now in terms of our business, particularly in Ireland and other markets across the geos. Just in case anybody's wondering, that does all of that added up doesn't equal 4 billion. It certainly doesn't equal the 346 million at the end of the thing. But actually, that 346 is actually for the Benelux. It's those three markets. Some people asked before is that your numbers don't add up. So it's the Benelux, three markets in the bottom. That's considerable size. That's growing as well. So the good news is with this, I suppose, incredible market opportunity and growth around backup recovery, information intelligence and insight, around managing information and governance. And Tim has touched on a bit as well. It's not necessarily it is a security play, but it's also a data and information management play as well. We're investing in our markets, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. So how are we relevant? So look, we commissioned a report to produce a report internally in the second half last year. It's called a data berg. So take it from an iceberg, like anything, right? You know the analogy, right? What you see is what's on the surface, but the bigger part's what you don't see underneath. So if you think about the business that we're in, and we've got competitors in this market as well, right? In backup recovery, information insight, discovery, and governance, is what 14% of data or information or data that an organization has actually got some value in it. Worse than that, what we now know is 9% is target rich and that is actively used with commercial, legal, and marketing value on a day-to-day basis. The rest of it is terms what we call ROT, redundant, obsolete, or trivial. So if you think about, I take photographs, I have music, where does that get backed up and where does that get stored? On the corporate server. Right, if you think about where all these things go and think about the cost of managing that, it's considerable. So there's a figure there of 714k per year. Okay, I would say in the Irish market, and I'm going to show you some stats now, not specifically for Ireland, but Ireland will have some parallels in it. This is not unique to in other markets, and this is actually everywhere. So the biggest problem organizations face right now is the cost of storing, backing up, archiving, duplicating, disaster recovery sites, multiple sites, so on and so forth. And it's largely been a hardware-defined strategy to managing information as opposed to a software-defined. Hardware is not going to identify what's critical and valuable information. Software can give you that insights and intelligence in terms of what needs to be managed and what is redundant, obsolete and trivial. And here's what some of these markets look like. There's no reference to Ireland in here, but from my humble experience and maybe limited in the past couple of years, been in a different role to this market, I would say Ireland sits at the midpoint in there. So Germany does well in terms of the dark data, which is not the worst offender. France good in terms of clean data. Israel even better. But again, the trend is there. Most companies and organizations do not have a software-defined strategy to their information management. They have a hardware-defined strategy to data management. And the farms get bigger and bigger and bigger. The cloud helps. You think of other vendors out there. I worked at Microsoft for a couple of years. The big thing we were selling, fastest product to $1 billion was SharePoint. It's a great product to give collaboration. The problem you have is you dot an I, cross a T, and I know versioning will help with that now, but these problems still exist. You dot an I, cross a T, your 4 meg file becomes 8. Where does it go? So intelligence is needed. Software gives the ability to give intelligence in terms of managing these things. The solution is not to increase the farm. The solution is to manage the information with policy to reduce that crime. Turn it upside down. Turn the iceberg upside down. Right? More value in what's being used in a critical. So 9% of that 14 is target rich and get used. And then we manage and delete and eliminate the redundant. I would estimate that what I'm looking to do is, by the time we come back here next year, because we're working more with the analysts, is actually have what does Ireland look like in terms of a market opportunity and relevance to our partners and our customers. GDPR, has people heard of this? So when I was working with Tim a couple of years ago and we were actually building out a security practice in Ireland, big thing we talked about with the consultants we were working with to help us give us access to markets was data protection. Right, in terms of the moves that were made by the legislature in terms of basically, organisations with 250 seats and above would have to have a data protection officer. So there's some deals I worked on, and Tim would know these ones, but they had some breaches. So I can't say who they are, but they were big names in the utility in Ireland. They had breaches, and they were, I suppose, publicly shamed into going out and doing something about it. Commission report from a large consulting house. Recommendation number 1: you need to recruit a data protection officer. Recommendation number 2: you need to protect your data. And we got in. It's like anything, folks. It's basically it's like an alarm in your house, right? We bought our first alarm in my family home when we had to break in. All right, so it's actually taking a proactive strategy. This GDPR is going to have implications for everybody, everywhere. And this is a joint play from a Semantic and a Veritas perspective: security and information management. Okay, and there'll be more coming out about this, and we can talk about it later on in the one-to-ones. So just very, very quick tour in terms of like the business that we're in. This is we've basically crammed what Gail has into one slide. It's a very busy slide. I tend to I'm short-sighted. I see the back. I can't see these things. Don't strain your eyes. But what I say is like we're this is a global slide. So look, we're a $24 billion company. $4 billion in EMEA, 46 million addressable in Ireland. We're looking for partners who want to make, like any partner program, we're looking for partners who will commit to work with us. We're investing in this market in terms of this program. I'm going to introduce the team now. It's never been as big. When I worked here, there was about 4 or 5 of us. So there's not necessarily 4 or 5 people on the ground directly in Ireland day to day, but there's more than that in terms of supporting and actually have measures and targets in the Irish market. So that means something. So we're going after something. We're not going after 10 million. We're not going to go after that 46 million straight away, but we're going after something sizable. So we're looking to grow the market because the trends that are happening, the patterns that are out there, the market needs this. And we need our partners, right? We have some fabulous partners in the market, and this program has helped with that. But it is about commitment, it's about investing, it's about being compliant in those investments in terms of competencies, and the rewards are there. The rewards are there to bring value to your customer's business and indeed to us as well. Okay? Eddie's here, he's going to cover that off in a few minutes. So, look, last slide, right? Unfortunately, the mugshots just, the company wouldn't let me put the pictures in because they're really ugly, so I just stuck with the names. I'm there, you see Lorcan there as well. Lorcan's running the mid-market backup business across EMEA, end-to-end. So I think a lot of you would know Lorcan. He started up Veritas in Ireland many years ago, run a semantic piece, so he's now in a bigger role, part of the global organisation. So what we've done is we've had a few wobbles over the years. We've been a little bit inconsistent. It hasn't helped, but I think the fact that we said we're separating companies probably gives an indication of what we've been going through. We've asked Eddie, who's been with us for about a year now, who has strong channel experience in Ireland, to manage the channel as a country manager in Ireland with CMS and the partners. So Eddie will be based in, obviously is based here, and will be helping the business. And there's also countless other people as well, right? We've got people dedicated to the mid-market, so Adrian's going to be coming on a bit later on. I think a lot of you know Gavin and Paddy, who are the field-based sales and pre-sales technical people. There's a lot of help. We see a lot of opportunity. The market is growing. We're going after a richer addressable, and we're investing quite a lot of people in to help with that. All right, thanks for your time. All right.